Headlines. Enforcement measures will prevent traders from disguising commercial imports as personal shopping. An overnight diversion for pedestrians and vehicles will be in place while works continue. Tax deductions to be introduced for anyone making their business more accessible. And we'll be crossing live to the Calentita Food Festival. Good evening. Commercial goods entering Gibraltar after the treaty comes into effect will still have to go through customs controls even once the border becomes more fluid for pedestrians. That's one of the key messages in a new set of frequently asked questions on business published by the government on the implementation of the treaty. There will be measures in place to protect local businesses and prevent Spanish businesses from masquerading as personal sellers online or on Facebook.
The guidance says only goods brought into Gibraltar in personal luggage and genuinely for personal use or as gifts will be able to avoid commercial customs processes and transaction tax. It says a small trader bringing goods from Spain into Gibraltar to sell would not qualify as personal shopping, even if the goods are low in value or small in quantity. The same would apply to online or Facebook sellers sourcing goods from Spain. For the first 3 years of the treaty, personal goods over certain allowances will still have to be declared and may be subject to transaction tax. These allowances include the sterling equivalent of €300 for goods brought in by land, €430 by air or sea, or €175 for those aged 15 or under. After the first 3 years, those thresholds will no longer apply to goods brought from the EU into Gibraltar, provided they are genuinely for personal use. The FAQs also say Spanish retailers and delivery operators will not be able to use the open border to deliver commercial goods into Gibraltar while simply charging Spanish VAT. The government says commercial goods will have to comply with the treaty's import and transit rules and undergo customs controls. Enforcement will fall to customs, the driver and vehicle licensing department and the Office of Fair Trading, with penalties to be set out in legislation. The government also confirms airport duty-free sales for passengers travelling to non-EU destinations, including the UK, will remain free of transaction tax. Duty-free will not be limited to tobacco and alcohol, but may also apply to other goods that would normally attract transaction tax. Minister for Business, Gemma Arias Vasquez, says the FAQs bring together detailed and technical questions raised by businesses and will help them understand how the new arrangements are expected to operate.
If you're crossing into Spain this weekend or any time in the next few weeks, you might come across some of the changes that are underway. An overnight diversion for pedestrians and lane restrictions for vehicles will be in place while these works continue. In a sign of growing cooperation, the Gibraltar and Spanish governments have said they're working together to keep disruption and delays to a minimum.
Pedestrians travelling in either direction on both Friday and Saturday nights will be diverted through the vehicle exit route between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m, while frontier infrastructure dismantling works continue. Drivers could also face some delays during the day. The vehicle entrance into Gibraltar will also be reduced to a single lane. A scaffolding remains in place for the removal of the frontier canopy. Gibraltar and Spanish authorities have agreed measures aimed at keeping queues to a minimum. The overnight diversion and lane restrictions are expected to end by Sunday night, with both vehicle lanes due to reopen in time for Monday morning traffic.
And the updated residency rules, Cat 2 thresholds and the latest guidance for customs were all topics of debate in last night's Viewpoint, while Minister for Business Gemma Arias Vasquez said there had been widespread consultation with the government working at speed. Shadow MP Craig Saccarello claimed there remained a great deal of concern and uncertainty. Meanwhile, business groups on the panel reacted to the measures, raising concerns about the minimum salary requirements.
You know, recruitment is a challenge in Gibraltar. That is what businesses day-to-day experience. And it is particularly, I think it's going to be becoming more challenging with this criteria, which the government itself admits is stricter than what we used to have. It's going to become more challenging. And there are going to be many, many people who fall outside the objective criteria for residency that this paper sets out. So there's going to be many people that do not meet the earnings threshold. That average earnings threshold is high. It's not an average earning threshold in the private sector.
There is no mechanism in the treaty whereby a British national who manages to secure a job in Gibraltar can apply for a visa to reside in Spain.
We've got something quite special. We need to protect it. We need to make sure that we grow it sensibly, as opposed to potentially opening the lever, so to speak, dramatically and finding lots of people coming over, which we're then stuck with insofar as having to look after.
And it's the exercise of discretion which is of concern, because whilst that on paper is perfectly reasonable, in practice, the experience is that any exercise of discretion takes time. And when you're competing for employees, you risk losing them. And that is precisely the experience of our members. And this was really, really brought to my attention last week in this panel. It would be very important for us to understand the overall modelling of how this is going to impact our economy, because it really is going to have an impact on people coming here to work, people who stop working here and start businesses, people who come here for one reason and decide that Gibraltar is the place they want to stay.
We would very much like to see the modelling they have done on best, mid and worst case scenario in terms of transaction tax and excise collection over the next 5 years. Because if they've done that, that would be very good guidance for us to know what they're expecting in terms of the direction of the economy in certain sectors.
I've recently spoke to various different people across the sectors, and they are very, very worried about the mammoth task ahead. There remains a lot of uncertainty, procedural uncertainties, commercial uncertainty, legal uncertainties.
Even with the guidance that's been published?
Even with the guidance, yeah. They do not believe that there's been full consultation and that the town halls to come will necessarily cover all of it. And it is the government's unequivocal responsibility to ensure that present businesses, apart from the future economy, that present businesses are allowed to survive, to adapt, and to grow as business.
There are discretions, but the discretion isn't going to be applied on a case-by-case basis. So if a specific sector comes to us, as indeed they already have, and says this doesn't apply for these reasons and it's accepted, then it's not a person-by-person discretion. It's a sector-wide discretion that the Chief Minister will be able to accept on a sector basis. So the delays that he's talking about won't necessarily be there, because once the discretion is exercised for a sector, it will be implemented for that sector. What we're doing is remarkable in the face of a treaty which is groundbreaking. We are now trying to take everyone through it. And of course businesses are nervous. And of course we will do everything in our power to take business through that transition period and issue all the guidance that they need. But it's not having a coffee in business with some mates. It's actually going through the detail of the treaty and going through what businesses need. It's taking businesses through town halls, waiting for all the questions that they have, receiving all their FAQs and answering all their FAQs. So I believe that we are trying to do everything possible at a pace whilst we are negotiating the admin arrangements and everything else in order to deliver the certainty at the point in time that we need it. So it's a very difficult job, but we really are working full throttle to try and deliver it.
Some news from the UK, where Andy Burnham has won an emphatic victory in the Makerfield by-election. He got 55% of the vote to Reform's 35%. This puts him in a strong position to challenge Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. The by-election has been followed closely, having the potential power to transform British politics.
The UK has never, or certainly not in decades, seen a by-election of such importance. Makerfield, a collection of mostly old mining towns and villages sandwiched between Liverpool and Manchester, represents 0.1% of UK voters. The constituency found itself at the epicentre of British politics after its Labour MP resigned to give Andy Burnham a shot at returning to Westminster to challenge Keir Starmer for the party's leadership. But Andy Burnham was an unusually strong candidate. He's local and popular as mayor, a position he's held since 2017. This has dampened criticism that is using the constituency as a stepping stone. His campaign has been slick and upbeat, underpinned by a promise to change Labour. In contrast, Reform had struggled to find a good candidate. Robert Kenyon's ratings were low, with voters seeing him as inexperienced. Makerfield is the type of constituency Nigel Farage needed to win to form the next government. The Red Wall seat backed Leave in 2016 and overwhelmingly opted for Reform during last month's local elections. Keir Starmer has today said he will stand in a Labour leadership contest, should one be triggered.
Now that Andy has won, which is really important, really good, he's a huge asset to us, then now will inevitably be a Manchester mayoralty by-election starting straight away. So it's important that we pull together for that. But if there is a contest, just to be clear with you, then yes, I will run, I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
And it could also be all change in Spain. The Spanish Premier has, for the first time in this parliamentary term, left open the possibility of an early general election if his government fails to secure parliamentary backing for the state budget. In comments made last night, Pedro Sánchez said negotiations with coalition partners would continue, but acknowledged that decisions would have to be taken should the budget not be approved, with Spanish media reporting that any election would likely be held in 2027 rather than this year. Let's not forget too that Gibraltar could potentially have a new chief minister by the end of the year, after Fabian Picardo said this would be his last full year in the role.
The government has reinstated legislation to pay tax deductions to anyone wishing to make their business or premises more accessible to people with disabilities. The amendment to the relevant rules will remain in force until 2030. Those who are eligible will be entitled to claim a deduction against income tax for qualifying expenditure incurred in carrying out reasonable adjustments that improve access and inclusion. Claims should be made in writing to the Commissioner of Income Tax within 2 years of the end of the relevant year of assessment or accounting period for which the deduction is sought. Applicants would need to provide evidence of the works they've undertaken. A Ministry for Equality spokesperson said by providing financial support through the tax system, the government hopes to encourage businesses and property owners to make the necessary improvements. Moroccans who receive a Gibraltar old age pension will be able to have their payments transferred directly to Morocco. Under the new treaty visa travel arrangements, pensioners living in Morocco who wish to travel to Gibraltar would require a Schengen visa. However, those who prefer not to travel will be able to have their pension paid directly into a bank account in Morocco. To do this, they must open an account at any Banque Populaire branch and provide the details to Gibraltar's pension authority. Pensioners are being encouraged to read the government's technical notice carefully and make the necessary arrangements well in advance. You're watching GBC News. Still to come, we'll be going live to Calentita. This year's two-day festival is now underway down at Landport. And keep an eye out for some larger-than-life monkeys. They're part of an art project, Jump Round Jib, that will be coming to our streets very soon. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Calentita is getting warmed up. Gibraltar's food festival has a new home this year. Landport is hosting 2 days of street food, drinks and live entertainment. Robin Shepherd-Capurro and Andrea Olivares will be bringing you closer to the action in a live programme directly after this bulletin. But let's have a sneak peek now. Robin, how's it looking?
Yeah, hi Ian. 2026 Calentita Festival, Food Festival is finally here. We've been gearing up for it for weeks, if not months, and the night has finally arrived. A reminder, of course, that it's for the first time ever a 2-day event as well. So if you can't make it down tonight, there's always tomorrow as well. And the ambiente is perfect. What I would say it's the right amount of busy, and in a brand new venue as well. In the past years, we've had it in Casemates, we've had it in Campion Park, up in Piazza as well. And for the first time tonight, as you can see, in the Landport ditch, remove the cars, enter the food stalls. We've got a couple of new ones as well, Romania, and a couple of others as well, brand new to the Calentita Food Festival. So it's gearing up really nicely, things just brewing. I couldn't resist a few mouthfuls myself. I promised myself I'd wait until after we went live, but I broke that promise. And just a matter of minutes ago, actually, a guy walked past, looked me dead in the eye and said, "What a night." Forcefully. Whether that was inspired by 2 or 3 beers, it's not for me to say. But what a night indeed, and it's only just begun.
Okay, thanks for that, Robin. Robin and Andrea will be bringing you some of the sights and sounds. If you're not headed down there yourself, you might be inspired. We've got a live programme coming up after this bulletin. Now, The Last Sun, a 30-minute short film about a dystopian future where a corporation blocks out the sun, premiered at Leisure Cinemas last night. The film is set and produced right here in Gibraltar.
Right, so I had a brief say in the writing of it, but the majority of writing was done by Lynn Hardy and Simon Reynolds, who's quite a well-known Canadian actor. The film essentially is about a world where the sun has been purposefully blocked by the government, and in Gibraltar there's a strange anomaly that allows the sun to shine through.
It's all locally produced?
Correct, locally produced, local crew. Local actors, entirely locally produced, yes.
My role is supposed to be kind of a question mark. You see, the main character over here, Lena, she plays a scientist over here who convinces everybody in Gibraltar that the sun is not deadly. Now, out of fear, they flock underground. So she is left alone, stranded. Her own husband and daughter have left underground also. Time jumps forward 8 years later. Suddenly, a stranger, played by yours truly, washes ashore. She's going to be introduced to somebody who does not have a scientific background, but may still have all the answers that she seeks.
Okay, I'm the producer, the writer, and I play Lena in the film, so I'm the lead actress also.
Okay, and tell us what your protagonist, what her role is in this movie.
So the role is to bring back the sun to the world. I play a scientist, and the whole world is in darkness now. And Lena is building a machine that can bring back the sun to the world. So that's what I'm doing.
Local artists, schools and organisations are taking part in the recently announced project that'll see 10 1.5 metre tall macaques placed around the rock as part of a monkey trail. Jump Around Gib is looking for sponsors for these macaques, which will feature at strategic locations for a year. Our reporter Clara Hernandez spoke to local artists as they started painting their macaques and asked how it felt to be part of this project.
It's a privilege, and it's daunting because it's a process I've never done before. It's, as you probably know, the monkeys are fiberglass, and they're very, very curved. And normally I use canvases, so it's just been a different kind of experience. So that's why it's daunting, but still, as I've just said, it's very, very humbling and exciting.
And what does your macaque represent? What are you painting on it?
The macaques represent different key landmarks in Gibraltar, so key themes. Mine is a campion flower, the endemic one to Gibraltar, and it's going to be, as far as I'm aware, situated in Campion Park.
And how have you found the process? Because we note that your macaque has got different textures, different colours. Tell us a bit about that.
This has been a bit difficult or challenging for me because I tend to go very raw. Unless it's a commission, it's very raw, and you can't do it. So originally I tried different colours, but I've opted for the violet because we have our own campion has violet, pink, and white. So violet versus the green of the the stem of the flower. So a lot of texture will be in the legs, and there'll be sort of a flat space, and then it'll be, well, the flower will be, there's a flower at the back, it can be in the back, so texture will be emerging from the flower. That's how I'm envisaging it at the moment. But I've already done like 5 hours on it, so let's see how it goes.
Your macaque is going to be placed at the airport. How does that feel? It could be the first thing that people see when they arrive in Gibraltar.
Exactly, and that's what I love about my theme as well. So the beaches of Gibraltar, not everyone's coming on holiday, but a lot of people are coming here on holiday. And so to be able to kind of like see, you know, our beautiful beaches in Gibraltar, yeah, I like the connection between the theme and also where it's going to be located.
How does it feel to be part of this project? Because as we see the macaques develop, it just seems to be getting bigger than we ever imagined.
No, it's so cool. Like, these things are done in like London and, you know, done by like really, really huge artists. So for me, you know, an upcoming artist, it is quite a big deal for me, and I'm excited.
Lots of distinctive things on the macaque. There's street art, there are flowers, there are keys. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I wanted to do something that was more family interactive, so we could bring in a conversation. So we could be with our children and sort of say, you know, how many keys can you see? How many smiley faces? Something that's more topical, and we can discuss more about art. So to bring that familiarity into it and, yeah, have some fun as a group of people.
And Sean, you're here as the sponsor of Jill's macaque for Victory Sweets.
Well, we were approached by Amy and the team, and what a great job they've done. So yeah, we're delighted to have been part of this programme. Great for the local artists. So proud that we've got the macaque that's going to be in Casemates. So we think it's going to be a bit of a visitor attraction, not just this one, but all of them.
The design of my monkey is inspired by mental health and well-being. So in order to develop the theme, I thought it would be interesting to have a sunrise representing hope, new beginnings, a new start, which sometimes we all need at different times in our lives. And then there's kind of this mandala happening, almost like a tattoo over his face, shoulder, or their face, shoulder, knee, the back. The mandala, again, representing mindfulness, being in the now, slowing down.
How does it feel as an artist to be involved in such a big project?
It's really exciting. I'm loving every second of it. I'm loving the interaction with other artists and seeing what ideas they have, and even spending time to brainstorm with each other and bounce off ideas, or, you know, get an opinion on whether what you're doing works or not and how they see it. That has been really interesting. It's always fabulous, I find, to work with other artists on a project, and it's such a privilege to know that my monkey is going to be part of the jump around Gib Trail for a year. It's a privilege. I'm really honoured to be doing this.
And just before we leave you, let's have a look at the latest sporting news.
It's the end of the swimming season, and Gasa are hosting a gala up at Lathbury tomorrow morning. Races scheduled from 10 a.m. Kids of all ages involved. The Futsal Rock Cup final takes place Sunday afternoon. Remember, this was originally scheduled 3 weeks ago, but had to be postponed after Europa were found to have fielded an ineligible player in the semis. They've been disqualified, and so into Gibraltar, the beaten semi-finalists take their place. They're up against Lynx at 4 p.m. More powerlifting success away from home for Zoe Torres. The 49-year-old is still relatively new to the sport, but her rise has been nothing short of remarkable. She was in Nottingham last weekend at a UK Open, achieving 2 first-place finishes in her categories. And that was enough to earn her an invitation to the 2026 British Nationals later this year. And it is now official. The GSLA Summer Sports and Leisure programme will run from Monday the 6th of July until Friday the 28th of August, offering a wide range of sporting, cultural and recreational activities for youngsters between 5 and 14 years old. Registration for the sports train now open.
And that's all for tonight. More online, more on our social media pages, and we'll have our Radio Gibraltar news summaries on the hour, every hour. That's from 9 in the morning tomorrow. From the team, from myself, thanks for watching. Good night. Enjoy your weekends.